ביאור משנה ד' אין לוקחים, אין קונים בחול המועד. You don't start doing business deals in חול המועד. We'll see which ones. What you don't buy in חול המועד? בתים. You don't buy houses in חול המועד. Or עבדים. You don't buy slaves in חול המועד. ובהמה. And you don't buy animals, beef on חול המועד. ובירושלמי הוסיפי, ירושלמי די ואבנים. Or not only the house you're not allowed to buy, even חומרי בנייה, even whatever, materials for building, you're not allowed to buy. Building materials. ויש גורסים כן גם במשנתנו. There are those who also add this in our Mishnah. Except, when are you allowed to buy? לצורך המועד. If you need them, any of the things for the holiday, then you're allowed to buy. Why? So a couple of things. שהלוקח, in other words, that you need them. שהלוקח צריך להם בחול המועד. That you need them in חול המועד. כגון, for example, somebody just got married and he needs to have a house for his wife and him. So, כגון בית לדור בו. Then he's allowed to, he just got married a week before חול המועד. So, the first opportunity that comes, that he can get it into a house with his wife, he's going to take it. He's allowed to buy in חול המועד. Or עבד לשמשו. He needs a slave in order, not extra. He's got 5 slaves, he needs one for the garden. No. An עבד that he needs for personal use. Or בהמה לשחטה. Or in animals because he needs to eat something. That of course you're allowed to buy. Or אבנים לבניין כותל הנוטה ליפול. Or building materials because something is about to fall and you're allowed to fix. We say something is about to fall. שיש בו סכנה, it's dangerous. ובכגון זה סותרו ובונו. And in such a way you're allowed to break the old one and build a new one. So first of all, if the one who buys needs it, you're allowed to. But there's another one. If the seller needs it, you're allowed. He doesn't have enough money, the seller doesn't have enough money to buy food for Yom Tov. The guy who sells the animals, or the guy who sells the building supplies. The building supplier, you know that he's a poor guy. He doesn't have enough money for himself, the building supplier, to buy food for himself for the holidays. So you're allowed to go and buy from him so that he will have money to buy, to do the holiday. Yeah. Or לצורך המוכר, or for the necessity of the seller, that the seller might, אין לו מה לאכול. He needs some food. והוא צריך למעות להוצאות יום טוב. He needs some money to celebrate יום טוב the right way. יש מפרשים, there are those commentators, שמשנתנו נקטה, that our Mishnah says, בתים ועבדים, houses and slaves, להשמיענו רבותה, to teach us something. שאף על פי שדברים אלה מחירתם מפורסמת, that when it comes to houses and slaves, I think you have to write it in the city hall. It's not like a television that you buy.
It's like a public record.
It's a public record. In other words, it's something that becomes advertised. מכל מקום, לצורך המועד, מותר לקנותם. Nevertheless, if you're buying them for the holiday, even though it's advertised, and we said, if you do something for Chol HaMoed, do it quietly, because even though they're advertised, you think maybe they're not allowed to do them. It says, no, you still allowed it because it's לצורך המועד. אבל כל שאינו לצורך המועד, but anything that is not for the holiday, הוא הדין אפילו שאר דברים שאסור. You're not allowed to buy anything that is prohibited. You know, the women have a kula now. I don't know what the halacha is. In Chol HaMoed, everybody knows you're not allowed to buy, right? But the woman says, if there was a sale, I'm allowed to buy. Why? Because it's I'm losing. That's the halacha that the women use all the time. I know, but that's the excuse that they use why they're allowed to go shopping in Chol HaMoed. Yeah, I don't know what the halacha is, but you can see that the Mishnah disagrees with that. Yeah. ויש כותבים, and there are those who write, ששאר דברים, כיוון שהוא צריך להם, that other things, since he needs them, אף על פי שאינו צריך לה במועד, even though he might not need them during the holiday, רשאי הוא לקנותם. He's allowed to buy. This is the kula for the women. Yeah, he's allowed to buy them, even though it's not. So if you buy a dress, she can say, I'm buying the dress for the holiday. You can't argue with her. Yeah, but if you know that she's buying the dress not for the holiday, for the bar mitzvah, that is going to be next week. Yeah, she's not going to wear it before. You know she's buying it for the bar mitzvah. She says, you might be, even then you might be allowed to buy them. לפי מקח וממכר אינו אסור דבר תורה. Because business, buying and selling is not prohibited from the Torah. It's not one of the 39 melachos. Buying and selling. It's not one of these melachos. Afilu beyom tov. Even in Yom Tov, it's only asur from the Torah. Even in Yom Tov, it's only prohibited from the rabbis. It's not prohibited from the... Mem kach mekar. Even in Yom Tov. Yeah. And how do we know this? Because even in Yom Tov, you're allowed to go, if you don't have enough cows, you're allowed to go to your neighbor and say, and get me, I need the cow. We'll talk about money later on. But you see that there is מקח and ממכר happening. ולפיכך במועד כלשהו צריך לו יכול להשתכר, and therefore in the holiday, if you need something, or you can gain wages because you need to buy stuff, שמוצאו בזול, that you find it in cheap, מותר או לקנותו. So if any sell, so any sell, you're allowed to buy it. but you would say, בתים ועבדים בהמה, when it comes to houses and slaves and animals, כיוון שמכירתם מפורסמת, because it's a big deal, לא התירו לקנות אלא לצורך המועד. That you're only allowed to buy for the holiday itself. But all the other things you're allowed to buy not for the holiday. The big advertising thing only for the holidays. Or לצורך המוכר. Or you know that the guy needs money, then you have to do it for, you're doing it him for a favor. Okay. This is from the Magid Mishnah, according to the opinion of the Rambam והרייבד. הרמב"ן חולק על כן. The Ramban disagrees on this. I don't know in which part he disagrees. I think he disagrees on the part that he allows you to buy not for the tzorch hamoed. Yeah, I think the Rambam says, no, if it's not for the tzorch hamoed, I'm not going to let you. Okay. אין מפנים כלים או תבואה מבית לבית. You're not allowed to take vessels or grain from one house to the next. For example, I'll give you an example. We deal with, we're both farmers, and I have a granary, and you have a granary, but you're a small one, and I'm a big one. So even you bought the grain before Chol HaMoed. We're not talking about, but you want it. You want on Chol HaMoed to take the grain from my place to put it into your house. From one.
Well.
Yeah. It's more complicated. Or, make it easier. It's both your properties.
Oh, and
you want to take from one place, and you want to put it in, that's right. From one house to another house. או תבוא מבית לבית. מבית אחד לבית אחר, from one house to another house, שאינה באותה חצר. That is not in the same yard. מפני התורך. So we learned before, you remember in Reuven, how it used to be. It used to be a chatzer, and there used to be batim around it. So as long as that neighborhood, if it's in the same neighborhood, like we call it, you're allowed to move things from one house to the next. But if it's in a different neighborhood, from this neighborhood to that neighborhood, you're not allowed to go. אבל מפנהו לחצרו. But you're allowed to take from your house to your yard. כלומר, לבית באותו חצר. So if you have two houses in the same yard, you can go from one to the next. אין מביאים כלים מבית האומן. Same thing. There's somebody who makes pots. You're not allowed to take a new pot from him and bring it home. כלי שניתנו לאומן לפני החג כדי לתקנם. It's a vessel you gave to the merchant to fix you before the holiday. או כלים שעשם בתחילה, or a part that he made from the beginning. אסור להביאם מביתו בחול המועד. You're not allowed to bring them to the house, to your house in חול המועד. Why? יש מברים הטעם מפני התורח. Some say like you say, it's your אבא הובלות. What are you? You're making moving. You become a moving company. ויש מבארים מפני החשד. And there are some said, no, it's not because you're not allowed to, you're a moving company, because people are going to suspect you. שמא יאמרו הרואים שבעל הכלים נתנם לתקן בחול המועד, because they're going to think that you gave it to them to fix in חול המועד. That's not allowed to, if you have other ones. אם חושש להם שמא יגנבו אותו מבית האומן, what happens if the woman says, look, I'm going on vacation, and my vessel is over there, I'm afraid you're going on vacation? That's right. So then, מפנן לחצר אחרת. Even then you know to take them home. The woman, that's right, the woman has in חצר, it is good. Put it in a secure place next to him. Don't take it all the way to your home. Yeah. מפנן לחצר אחרת, במקום שישתמרו, as long as you have a place where you can keep them until after the holiday, you're not allowed to take it to your house. אבל לא יביאם לביתו, but you should not bring them to your house. בגמרא מבואר, the Gemara explains the case, שמדובר במשנתנו בכלים שאינם לצורך המועד. We're talking in a Mishnah things that you won't need for the holiday, because as we said before, you're even allowed to buy new ones for the holiday. So we're talking about things you're not going to need for the holiday. אבל כלים שהם לצורך המועד מותר להביאם, but obviously things for the holiday you're allowed to bring them. וכן שנו בברייתא, מביאים כלים שהם לצורך המועד. It says you're allowed to bring vessels that you're going to need them to cook in the holiday. כגון קדים מבית הקדד, for example vessels, jugs from the jug place, וכוסות מבית הזקג, and some cups from the glass maker. אבל לא צמר מבית הצבע. But you're not allowed to bring wool. You can bring a sweater if you plan to build it, but the wool, because why are you going to make wool now? You can't anyway, even if you want to. אבל לא צמר מבית הצבע, ולא כלים מבית העולם, but not other vessels that you're not going to use during the holiday.
Wait with the kelim, because kelim, even if you carry it, everybody can say, oh, you need it for the moed, you need to eat, you need to cook. Tzemer, wool, for sure you don't need it.
So let's call the kelim, you're getting a hammer. Maybe it's that kind of kelim.
That's different. I look at the kelim.
You thought kelim.
Vessel.
But I'll give you an example. What can it be?
Tools.
Maybe it's like kelim not to cook. There's other kelim in the kitchen that you don't cook with. In our day today, I don't know. So there's some kelim that the woman uses, but not for cooking.
I see.
I don't know, whatever you can imagine. I don't know. ואם אין לו לאומן מה יאכל, and again we have the same problem. What happens if the guy who makes the glasses or the keli that you're not going to use in the moed, he doesn't have something what to eat in the holiday, נותן לו שכרו ומניחו אצלו. So he says, you worried about that? You don't have to take the keli, give him the money and pick it up later on. ואם אינו מאמינו, but if you don't trust him, מניחו בבית הסמוך לו, still you can take it to your house. Give it to a person next to him that you trust. ואם חושש שמא יגנבו, מפנן לחצר אחרת. And if you're afraid, maybe they're going to be stolen, you can put it to another yard. ויש מוסיפים, there are those who add, שאם הוא חושש להם גם בחצר אחרת, that if he's even worried in another still, then you can only then take them down to your house, but make it so that people are not going to see you. Because we don't want, in other words, once people see that it becomes a regular day, it's a problem. We need that people are going to realize this is not a regular day.
Gotta do it in shushu.
Yeah, exactly.